That's disabled. Figures. Ugh. Okay, can you guys hear me okay? If you can hear the sound of my voice, please say so in the chat room. That's not what I want. Please tell me if you can hear the audio. Does it sound alright? Because every time I try to stream with this software... Alright, good. Every time I try to stream with this software, there's audio problems, so I always have to make sure. Because I still can't figure out why Google Plus is screwing around with me. Anywho. And is that recording? Yeah, because there's two buttons here for streaming and recording. I almost forgot. All right. Yeah, recording. Okay. Let's talk about wrestling. For some reason, right after Impact, all the TNA's social media accounts went black. TNA's Twitter, Dixie's Twitter, they all went black. They took all the graphics out, and now there's one graphic that says something is going to happen at just after 11:59 p.m. tonight, apparently. I don't know what. I assume they're going to announce that they're going to add new graphics to indicate their new TV deal, or something to that effect. Could be way off. It's just a guess. But I assume we'll still be streaming at that time, so we can talk about it live. Hopefully I can get through this stream without coughing too much. All right. Let's go. Impact Wrestling World Title Series Week 7. We are approaching the end of group play in the World Title Series, which means that they'll presumably start changing up the format a little bit soon. And I say the sooner the better. And we're starting to see little hints of that happening here and there, but, we're not there yet. Yeah, we start Impact this week with, get this, a wrestling match in the World Title Series. I'll give you a second to contain your amazement. Ready? All right, let's continue. It's Brooke versus Awesome Kong from Group Knockouts. Watching this match just made me depressed. Because Brooke, the woman that I really want to see get pushed, the woman who could have, and by all rights, should have been made the top babyface of the Knockout division several years ago, has just announced recently, this week, that she has left the company. Probably the only Knockout on the current roster that draws consistent crowd reactions these days, and TNA let her leave. Makes no sense to me at all. So a bright, popular young star, full of untapped potential, leaves. Meanwhile, Gail Kim is still getting pushed to the fucking moon, and we cannot get rid of dead weights like Madison Rayne or Angelina Love or Velvet Sky for the life of us. And again, that is not a criticism of Gail. I like Gail. I've been a fan of Gail for a long time, but damn it, it's 2015, almost 2016 now, and she just shouldn't be at the top of the division anymore. It is time for someone new to take over, and yet for some reason, that just never seems to happen, and I'm beginning to doubt that it ever will. So, because I knew going in that Brooke was going to lose, quite frankly, it was kind of hard to care about this match. The match itself is fine. Brooke selling the hand injury a lot, and they gave her a fair amount of offense against Kong. I was just hoping for a different outcome. But Kong wins, so predictably, this means that the two knockouts from Group Knockouts moving on to the next round in this tournament are Awesome Kong and Gail Kim. No real surprises there. After this, they actually deviated from the usual formula in that they had EC3 and Matt Hardy facing off in a face-to-face or crossfire segment. I had no idea what a crossfire segment was because TNA never bothered to tell us what it was. But it wasn't just another match in the World Title Series, so I was intrigued. Turns out it was a joint interview / conversation with the two of them via Skype. Excuse me. And if you thought that meant that EC3 was going to completely shame Matt Hardy in terms of speaking skills, charm, entertainment value, and raw charisma, you were right. That is exactly what happened. Matt spoke more or less competently, but EC3 absolutely left him in the dust here. There was no question who came off better and who looked like a bigger star. It wasn't even close. If the purpose of this segment was to make Matt look good, it utterly failed. I understand that TNA are just in love with Matt Hardy right now for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but he's not exactly in his wheelhouse in this type of segment. This is the kind of segment you need to keep him away from, lest he be unfavorably compared to someone like EC3, who is a far more gifted and charismatic talker than Matt is on his best day. I'm just saying. TNA did Matt Hardy no favors here at all. And if they thought they were going to with this segment, then they weren't thinking. Back to the wrestling. From Group X Division, it's Manic versus Tigre Uno. I feel bad for saying this, but I felt completely disconnected from this match. Neither of these guys mean anything right now in the company. The X Division barely means anything right now, and we all know it. These guys have nothing going on. Tigre Uno is doing nothing with the X Division title, and the only thing Manic is up to lately is trying to start a Twitter hashtag so TNA management will let him take his mask off. As if that'll really change anything about his standing in the company right now. Are either of them going to make any kind of significant impact in the World Title Series? I think we all know the answer to that question. It's a good match. Tigre Uno wins, but so what? Whether he won or Manic won, the ultimate outcome would be the same either way. Next, from Group TNA Originals, it's Eric Young versus James Storm, who has since left TNA and has been appearing on NXT lately. So I think we all knew who was going to win this one. Storm was inexplicably playing a babyface in this match. I don't know why, but I guess he figured, well, I'm leaving anyway, so fuck it. The match is okay. You don't need me to tell you who won. You already know. You didn't even need to watch the show to know who went over here. And after this, there was another interview via Skype with Matt Hardy. So they decided to go to this well twice. But at least EC3 wasn't there to make Matt look bad by comparison this time. Still didn't come off that well, though. I'm so not buying Matt's indignant, self-righteous attitude. He thinks, he's so convinced that he's the guy who's going to take down EC3, who's going to hand EC3 his first ever loss in the company, who's going to sweep, his words, not mine, sweep the World Title Series. And I just see nothing from this guy that justifies that kind of push. Frankly, if that were to happen, TNA would be idiots. I do not understand what they see in him right now. All due respect to Matt, but does he really belong in this spot? Does anyone really think that? Then from Group Wildcards, it's Mahabali Shera versus Aiden O'Shea. Shera came out doing the Shera dance again, which is odd because I thought he was being more serious now as he was advancing in the tournament, because now was not the time to be screwing around and playing around and doing goofy stuff like this. That's the way they explained it last time. He was getting closer to advancing, so he was putting his game face on. But here he's just back to doing the dance again. And I don't know why. Nothing really memorable about this. Mostly just a bunch of brawling. I don't see this being a particularly good matchup for either man. Shera wins, as you would expect, because TNA is touring India soon. No surprise there. Forgettable segment. And next, here's a shocker. A legit shocker, actually. We have a match from Group Future 4, and it actually got shown on Impact, meaning that it did not take place earlier in the night. I think this was a first for Group Future 4. So we've got Crimson versus Eli Drake. Eli Drake, excuse me. Crimson was getting a pretty decent babyface reaction from the crowd here. So, of course, he lost. The match was nothing special. I don't think this was a terribly good matchup for these guys either. But at least they got the match on TV this time. So that's something. And then we go to another interview via Skype, this time with EC3 again. And he's talking about how he's not obsessed with Matt Hardy, only obsessed with beating Matt Hardy, erasing that blemish from his record, and regaining his World Heavyweight Championship. So it's a pretty basic interview, but still, was it far more engaging and entertaining than the Matt Hardy solo interview was earlier in the show? Yes, it was. I'm not sure what TNA hoped to accomplish with these interviews. But all they seem to be doing is highlighting how much brighter EC3's star shines than Matt's does. And I could have told them that would happen before they even did it. And now it is main event time. From Group TNA Originals, we have Bobby Roode versus Abyss. So it's a main eventer versus a man who has slowly but surely become a glorified jobber. So who went over here? I'll give you one guess. It's an Abyss match. It's not bad or anything, but I really don't have much to say about it. No disrespect to the guy, but I'm so done with his character. Of course he has to bring out fucking Janice, and Roode wasn't wearing a shirt, so of course he didn't get hit with it. Does it seem like that happens in every single Abyss match these days? It's like they're all the same. It's the same thing every time. Whatever. Roode wins exactly as you knew he would, just like every match on this show had exactly the winner and the loser that you knew it would. They're not trying to do anything unexpected or out of the ordinary from a creative standpoint here, and that is not the entire reason, but it's a big part of the reason why I'm finding Impact so unengaging right now. Now, TNA at least tried to change things up a little bit this week with those EC3 Matt Hardy interviews with varying degrees of success. Whenever EC3 was talking, it was good. Hardy did not come off nearly as well. This was just not the spot you'd want to put him in if the point was for him to come off like a star. It just wasn't. Otherwise, the wrestling was acceptable. Not all the matches were great, but there was nothing really awful here. And I think that's almost the end of group play now. There might be one or two more matches in that round next week. But either way, I believe next week they should be starting to change up the format of the World Title Series, if not changing it entirely. So the show in general should look a little different next week, which is good because the show and the tournament had become, in my opinion, extremely cookie-cutter, formulaic, and frankly dull over the last 7 weeks. That should help make for a more engaging show at least somewhat, but creative needs to start showing up. And I'm sorry, but that is something they have really not been doing for the most part since this World Title Series started. So, anytime now, TNA writers. Anytime now. Okay. So it is 11:31, so we've got just under half an hour to kill before 11:59 happens and whatever TNA or teasing happens. So let's answer some... Sorry. Let's answer some questions from the Peanut Gallery. don't get it. I wasn't thirsty all day. Suddenly my throat's all dry as soon as I start this. Oni Rokaku. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, all TNA's social media accounts have gone to the black background. Yeah, I know. They're getting ready to announce something. One of Dixie's major announcements. So I guess we'll be talking about that in just a little bit. We bear 50. I don't see you. I'm sorry. Try refreshing the page. Beyond that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't like streaming with this software. It's strange. Let's see. This saved me one. If two women were going to be wrestling men, Gale and Kong were the right ones to go forward. I would argue, for the sake of keeping things fresh, I think a good idea would have been to swap out one of them for Jade. Or Taryn Terrell. I don't know. I don't even know what her status is right now. If she's healthy, I would have put her in there. I mean, were they the right choices in that they're pushed as the biggest stars? Technically, yes. But they've been in those spots forever. Frankly, they don't need to be in these spots right now. Right? You put somebody like Jade in there, that would do a lot for her. Gale doesn't need to be in the tournament. Okay, we know a knockout is not going to win the World Title Series. So it's really a case of, will this woman benefit from being in this spot or not? Gale and Kong really won't. They're already at the top. So I don't see the point in them being in there when somebody else would gain a lot just by being there. It doesn't make sense to me. Ace Shock, WGN, or the former TV Guide channel that was renamed? I don't know what you're asking. Jeff Atwood, did you watch the Ronda Rousey Holly Holm fight? If so, how shocked are you that Ronda losing by knockout? I did not see the fight. I was actually busy that night. I saw the results though. Yeah, I was surprised. Ronda had an impeccable record, and apparently she just gets kind of embarrassed by Holly Holm. I didn't really know much about Holly Holm. I will admit, I was not terribly well informed on her. So yeah, it was shocking. I guess they're not calling it an upset because apparently, because Holm kind of picked her apart. But yeah. Rousey had built up a lot of momentum there, so I figured, outside of Cyborg, who was going to beat this woman? So yeah, it took me by surprise, but I was not terribly well informed about Holly Holm going in. And I'm going to try to find the fight somewhere so I can see it. I've seen clips and stuff. But yeah, I did not see the actual fight yet. Mr. Old Stinkfoot. Eli Drake looked like He-Man tonight. Yeah, that's his gear. He wears like the Prince of Eternia thing on the chest there to look like He-Man. Yeah, he's been doing that for a little while now. The Save Me one. Brooke leaving TNA sucks. With Taryn possibly leaving, too, they are losing all their hot girls, plus they are awesome in the ring. Taryn's leaving too? Maybe? Oh, that sucks. Christ, Taryn's the only girl they've even tried to build up in the last couple of years. I guess the other one being Brooke. Oh, God. So it's just going to be right back. God, if Taryn leaves too, Christ, it's just going to be right back to the old guard just dominating the division all over again. Not that they weren't already, but Christ. On the plus side, this does create new spots available for new knockouts to come in. Am I optimistic that they will fill those spots with the right people? No. But hell, if we've lost Brooke and Taryn, if I'm Dixie Carter, I'm on the phone with Kaylee Ray already. Trying to say, hey, can you come in on such and such a date? On this date and that date, are you free? Are you available? Can you come over? Can you get on a plane and be here in Orlando for these dates? Can you do that? And if that doesn't work out, there are a number of other girls you could bring in. Not sure when Cherry Bomb is going to be healthy. But, those spots need to be filled. Because, you didn't have a huge knockout roster already. And if those two are gone, you're in trouble. D1, how can TNA get back on track? Change creative. For starters. The approach they're taking is way too old school to attract any new viewers. In any significant numbers. I've said this before. Right now, TNA are aspiring to be nothing more than a gimmicky version of ROH. And that is not a criticism of ROH. But it's not going to draw any mainstream attention. It's not going to generate any buzz if all you're aspiring to be is a decent wrestling show. Your show needs to be about more than just wrestling. You need more storylines. You need more interesting characters. And you need to book the show in such a way that the storylines and the characters enhance the wrestling. Right now, they've got an awful lot of wrestling and not so much of the other things. And that's the problem. It's a problem. So first thing I would do, get rid of most of the writers. Lagana and Conway, these guys have been writing this show for years. Okay, the ratings have been trending one way for most, if not all, of that time. So why are they still writing the show? Hire someone else. Get a new head of creative. I think John Gaburek has proven by now that he doesn't have what it takes to fill that role effectively. I don't know why this hasn't happened yet. Jesus, find some new writers with some fresh ideas. What the fuck are you waiting for? Mr. Old Stinkfoot, new network and new stars. I am anticipating the announcement of a new network in about 19 minutes. That's what I'm guessing it is. Let's see. Jim Con 1479. Matt Hardy is a pretty good worker, and he doesn't have that character/gimmick to get over with the audience. Not saying he should be Adam Rose, but give him something. I agree. I mean, he can work well in the ring. I mean, he's not a jobber. I don't see top star in Matt Hardy either. And TNA seem to think right now that he can be a top star, and I don't think it's working. The Save Me One. With Knockouts leaving, a few suggestions on who TNA should replace them with. Reby Hardy, rather. Oh, I very much expect Reby Hardy is on the way. If she's still wrestling since she had the baby. Yeah, but like I said, I mean, TNA just love Matt Hardy right now, so would they hire his wife to keep him happy? Yeah. That is exactly something they would do. Shauna, that would be great. I thought Shauna made a great case for herself when she had that explosion match on the UK tour a while back. She seemed like a damn near slam dunk to me. I don't know why they passed on her. But for whatever reason, they did pass on her. I don't see why they bring her in now. Even though they should. Jessie Bell. Jessie Bell, really? I've never seen anything special about her. At all, really. And maybe Ivelisse Velez and Melina. I believe Ivelisse is contracted to Lucha Underground, so that's not happening. Melina, I don't know what she's up to, but I wouldn't be interested in her either. They can steal them away from Lucha Underground. Oh, okay, Melina's still in Lucha Underground. All right. Yeah, so, well, if the Hernandez debacle is any indication, that's not happening. If I were TNA, I wouldn't even go there. Because the first time they did, it did not work out. Now, I think Ivelisse and Melina are off the table. D1, what do you think about so many TNA guys going to NXT? I'm happy for them. You know, if they're no longer working for TNA, why shouldn't they get an opportunity somewhere else? You know, I'm happy for Samoa Joe that he's working there now. You know, Joe deserves to get rich. You know, I'm happy for James Storm that he's getting some attention post TNA. I mean, Storm was overlooked and underutilized in TNA for a long time, for years. I mean, he deserved to have a main event run with the world title. Never got it. You know, he had the title for, what, 2 weeks? And that's ridiculous. Storm totally deserved to have a main event run. Never got it. So, I mean, would he get one in WWE at this point? Probably not. But, you know, he'll make more money there, and he'll have job security, so good for him. You know, I'm happy for these guys. Let's see. Ace Shock, thoughts on the contract signing? I believe, I assume you're talking about the Paige and Charlotte contract signing. I'm glad they at least tried. They at least tried to give the Divas a segment like this. I'm glad it was something other than just a longer match for the Divas. I'm happy for them that they get the main event spot of Raw. That said, I don't think the segment came off terribly well. I think they really exposed Charlotte's lack of acting chops. I thought Paige came off far better than she did. Frankly, I think Charlotte looked terrified during most of that segment. She didn't look comfortable at all, and she flubbed her lines at times. The using of Reed Flair's death to get cheap heat, I thought was pretty distasteful. I'm not going to say don't do it, but, you know, use discretion. Because it's going to turn a lot of people off, and I was kind of in that camp. I don't know, it seems like a lot of other people weren't thrilled with it either. It didn't seem like the segment got over terribly well, so maybe people in the audience were turned off by it too. Let's see, Steve Trowbridge. To be honest, I was mentally tuning in and out of Impact. Haven't watched in several weeks, but decided to watch this week, and it was still boring. Yeah, I'm kind of fighting that impulse too. It's just this world title series, it just feels like it's dragging on and on. It's going to be 8 weeks of this before they get out of the first round of the tournament. Why is it taking so long? They are taking the very simple task of crowning a new World Heavyweight Champion and just overcomplicating it to the point of absolute absurdity. It should not take this long. It should not be this hard. We're talking about doing one match to crown a new World Champion. I still don't know why they didn't just do a rematch from Bound for Glory. Instead, we do this massive company-wide tournament that just goes on forever. It's lasted so long now that it's become boring. I said this last week. I was like, I almost don't care who wins anymore. I just want this tournament to be finished so they can move on to something else, something that doesn't involve matches in a tournament all the damn time. So Duke Nukem 3DO, what's your thoughts on Paige and Charlotte contract signing? I already went over that. Jeff Atwood, Eva Marie is getting a shot at the NXT Women's Championship next week. God help us. Oh, God, are you serious? I heard Spoonie. I saw Spoonie talking about that on Twitter. I hoped he was joking. Oh, man, they're giving Eva Marie, seriously? God, I haven't seen her wrestle lately, but I heard some people say she's gotten better, but she started at 0, so she had nowhere to go but up. Eva Marie, really? Give it to Asuka. Give it to... Oh, Eva Marie, Christ, what do they see in this woman? William A. Bear, what network do you want TNA to land on? WGN America or Pop TV? My choice is WGN because I don't have Pop TV on AT&T Universe, Uverse, and it is not the network for pro wrestling. You know, I get asked this question a lot. I just don't have a good answer. I mean, honestly, the network itself doesn't. I really don't care. I was like, do I get the network? Yes. If so, good. If not, well, then I can't watch the show anymore. I really have no preferences. I think TNA's options are probably very limited, and they're going to have to settle for what they can get. I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up on a smaller network than Destination America. Because their stint on that network has done little more than erode their audience and diminish their asking price and their bargaining power. So if that's what the big announcement is in exactly 9 minutes, then I would prepare yourselves for kind of an underwhelming announcement. John Smith, EC3 can make any. I just took some cough syrup earlier. EC3 can make anything into gold. Agreed. Jim Con 1479. WWE has to be careful about what WWE guys they hire. They should get the cream of the crop instead of some random jobber that got fired. Ziggler and Cesaro would fit their brand nicely. I think you mean TNA has to be careful. Agreed. They should be selective. I mean, just because someone was in the WWE, that does not automatically mean they have star power. And this is a mistake they've made a number of times in the past. You know, because sometimes WWE fucks up. They hire someone with no talent. Let's see. Is it William A. Bear? I agree, Jeff Atwood. God help us all. Yeah. Steve Trowbridge. The only matches I was interested in this Impact were Eli Drake versus Crimson and Brooke versus Awesome Kong. And now Brooke has been released, which is a damn shame. Yeah, real wasted opportunity there. They could have done so much more with her. You know, by all rights, she should have been the top babyface in the knockout division. I don't know why she never really reached that state. It's just, well, they're so deathly afraid of anyone pushing Gail Kim off the mountaintop that they can't have her sharing the top spot with anyone, really. And it sucks. Ace Shock, were you a fan of the Hardy Boys? I didn't dislike them. I was always more of an Edge and Christian guy. ENC, the Dudleys, and the Hardys. I think the Hardys are probably my least favorite. I didn't think they were bad. It's just the other guys I always felt were a lot more dynamic and entertaining to me. John Smith, if Eva wins, then God help us. Oh boy, what's WWE thinking with that? Mr. Old Stinkfoot, yeah, hopefully things get back on track when they're on a new network. One would hope so. I question whether it's the network or the taping schedule that's really hurting them. Because, I talked about this before, but the problem with the taping schedule and shooting so much TV in such a short amount of time is that so many of the finer details of storytelling get lost because all of their focus is just on cranking out an insane amount of content over like 10 days. I mean, they're shooting months and months of shows in a very short amount of time comparatively. And it's like, well, if we can actually do this, if we can actually get all our matches done and get all the promos filmed and just get all our shots and coverage and everything, if we can just get everything filmed so we can put a show on, that is an enormous accomplishment. At least that's their mentality, I think. And yeah, I mean they're filming enough content to fill their time slot, but the shows aren't interesting. But they're so wrapped up in actually getting the show filmed that they don't care. Because just getting the show filmed feels like a huge accomplishment. Let's see. Eva Marie is pure garbage. Yeah. D1, do you think EC3 could do good in WWE NXT if they let him be him? If they let him be him, then yes. But would they let him be him? Probably not, no. William A. Bear, the only reason Eva is still with WWE is because, well, you know. Yeah, if she wasn't on Total Divas, just, you know, she'd be nothing. It's probably the only reason why Natty's still on the main roster, too, at this point. Not to crap on Natty at all. I just, it's like, well, sometimes I wonder, why is she there? They do nothing with her. I think once Total Divas goes off the air, they'll probably just offer Natty a trainer's job at the Performance Center, and that'll be it for her. Eva, without Total Divas, she's got nothing. Let's see, D1. The Save Me One. Eva Marie is a red-haired goddess, but she sucks as a wrestler. Goddess, really? I've never found her that attractive. Really. I mean, she's got a good body, but I don't know, like the bright red hair on the the exotic features and like the dark skin, it's just it doesn't look good to me. Like a redhead looks good with pale fair skin or pale women or even freckles, but with Eva Marie it just looks fake and tacky. Steve Trowbridge. EC3 was already in NXT as Derek Bateman. Yes, I know that. I'm well aware of that. And they didn't really let him be him. That's what I'm saying. In his last run, he was in WWE, and they didn't let him be him. And they tried to micromanage him and control him too much, and it showed. Jeff Atwood, Heroes Reborn is really confusing at this point. Tim Kring has not learned his lesson, and I don't think he ever will. Yeah, I missed the last couple episodes of Heroes Reborn. I'm not. I keep telling myself I need to catch up just so I can see how it ends, but I've got no motivation to do it. I mean, it's just not that interesting. And I really wish they had not gone back to the time travel well. That was the cause of so many problems in the original series. Yeah, they really haven't learned their lessons, have they? D1, are the champions still not coming out with their titles? I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. It's unusual. Not really sure what that's about. I mean, I know it's a tournament, and all title defenses are on hold and everything. But I mean, the champions still have the belts. I don't know why they leave them backstage. And hang on. Come on. All right, just under 2 minutes. Impact, I guess, is going to be making whatever announcement they're going to be making. So we'll see what that goes. Are the finals in the title series going to be in India? So asks Ace Shock. I believe the semifinals are going to be in India. I think they said that last week. So yeah, they're still tracking this thing out. So I guess like the entire India tour, as far as I know, is just going to be the semifinals of the World Title Series. William A. Bear, that's why I don't watch Heroes Reborn anymore. Thoughts on TNA and talks with Bill Goldberg? Don't really have any. If he shows up, it won't be for long. I saw an interview with him the other day where he basically like, yeah, if I were to do it, it would only be to promote like my movie or something. So he might show up if they work something out. He might show up. He might spear somebody. I think there might be a slim chance that he'd have one match, and then he'd go away again. It's not really worth talking about that much. Save me one. Matt is a placeholder for for Jeff. Yeah, most likely. Mr. Old Stinkfoot, doesn't make any sense. Why is there not coming out with the titles? Yeah, I don't get it either. Steve Trowbridge, have you watched Under the Dome before? I watched about 7 episodes of the first season, couldn't get into it, and now I'm reading the book, which is way better, and the book is basically no relation. I watched the first season, which I thought was pretty decent. Not great, but it was okay. The second season was kind of a mess, and I didn't bother with the third season. Yeah, second season I got the impression that they were just throwing a whole bunch of shit at the wall to see what stuck. It was just they really lost focus in season 2. Ace Shock, do you watch ICW or no? Not really. If I can find a Kaylee Ray match, I'll watch that on YouTube from ICW. Otherwise, not really. All right, let's see what TNA has going on here. It is 11:59, so let's see. I'm hitting refresh now, and nothing yet. Okay. Check back in a minute. The Save Me One. I don't think anyone could make a realistic argument that EC3 is not the face of TNA right now. He is definitely the top guy. I agree. I mean, he's probably sharing that spot with Drew Galloway at this point. I think if EC3 is not the face of TNA right now, he should be. And I can't really think of anyone who has more star quality than he does right now. Steve Trowbridge, I'm honestly not that into Mahabali Shera. I know he's green and all, but I'm just not that big a fan. I'm not saying he doesn't have potential, but still. No, I get you. I mean, the guy is green. I think he's a good project, in that I don't see him being ready for a significant push in the near future, but I think he's worth keeping around to cultivate. You know, and he could be a good gateway star for the fan base in India. You know, TNA have a TV deal there now. So I think he's worth keeping in that sense. But yeah, I mean, if TNA still had a developmental system, that's where he'd be, but they don't. But I think he's worth keeping on the roster. I think he's a good project. D1, I feel like TNA should have just done a month-long thing, and while the TNA title is MIA, they should put the X title over F the King of the Mountain title as a joke. That would have been a lot better, I think. I think there's no reason to drag out the World Title Series this long. I think a month-long tournament would have been fine. John Smith, no Abyss match could be a complete without Janice. The weapon will never, ever be used. Well, it is used occasionally, but only when the person getting hit with it is wearing a shirt. So if they're not wearing a shirt, you know they're not getting hit with Janice. It's one of the reasons why I just fucking hate that weapon. It's so stupid. Oh, damn it. Oh, crap. Ton more questions here. Now they're getting away from me again. All right. And nothing yet from TNA. 11:59:06 has come and gone, and nothing's happening. All right. Okay, I gotta. I have to be up incredibly early in the morning, so I'm gonna have to breeze through like all these questions here because I really need to be getting to bed. Actually. Okay. William A. Bear, damn, I missed Arrow 2 weeks in a row. Well, tune into the Comic Show Post Show tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern on my channel, and we'll talk about it. Is it good or bad? You tell me. Wasn't a terrible episode. I like the stuff with Diggle and his brother. Spoiler alert. He's having issues with the whole Andy situation again. Still not sure why the ghosts haven't attacked Oliver. I mean, they targeted Jerry Ryan when she just announced that she was running for mayor. Now Oliver has been actively campaigning for mayor for a number of weeks, and they haven't done anything to him yet, which is strange. I like the stuff with Thea. There's some stuff I didn't see coming. There was a pretty impressive fight scene with Thea, actually, all done in one take, which very impressive stuff. It was a good episode. It wasn't my favorite. Had a couple issues, but yeah, tune in tomorrow night and we'll talk about that. Let's see. Steve Trowbridge, thoughts on Alicia Fox as a wrestler? Always thought she was pretty decent, and I wish they had done more with her. I guess I understand why they didn't, but still, probably too late now. Oh yeah, she missed her expiration date. Yeah, they're way past that now. She will be a utility player for the rest of her career. I didn't think too highly of her for a while. I think for a couple of years. She's gotten better since then. I do think she has some charisma. She's probably underutilized. But they're not going to start pushing her now. Let's see. D1, if you had to book this mess of a world title series BS, book this mess of... If I had to book it, I would shorten it considerably. Man, at least cut it in half. If not more so than that. What would I do? I don't know. Probably put the belt back on EC3. Steve Trowbridge, 5 favorite characters in Game of Thrones. Oh boy, 5 favorite characters. Tyrion, Jon Snow, Arya. I guess Daenerys. Hell, I don't know. A Sunday is cool. What's his name? The spider? Varric? No, not Varric. I don't know. The spider's cool. The Hound is nice. I don't know. Oh, Samwell Tarly. He's cool too. Let's see how many books. Ace Shock. Alicia had a good gimmick in 2014. Now she's the Bella Twins gimmick table. Yeah, at least she was doing something kind of interesting with how she would freak out and do some crazy batshit stuff after the match. That was kind of interesting because they never did anything with it. Oni Rukaku, since we're waiting, what do you think of Asuka? I like Asuka from what I've seen. She's really impressive. I think it's a lot of fun watching her beat the shit out of girls. Steve Trowbridge, Becky Lynch is the better redhead in WWE, obviously. Oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah, it's not even a contest. John Smith, Brooke and Kong was okay. The ending was just dumb. Well, again, I mean, Brooke's leaving the company, and not a lot they can do there. Van Chaps, glad to see Future Force showcased. Eli Drake going over was understandable. I personally hope Crimson gets a push in the future. I can definitely see both these guys as future world champions. Okay, yeah. I'm a fan of both those guys. Was disappointed when TNA stopped using Crimson in his first run. It felt like he was really starting to connect as a heel. I thought, the guy needed work, obviously, but he was coming along. I don't know what happened there. And I like Eli Drake a lot too, more so for his mic skills than his matches yet. But he's definitely somebody they should be focusing on more. So I'd agree with that. D1, do you think GFW could be a big thing if they get a TV deal, or should they try YouTube or something on that online? I don't know. I think GFW trying to get an American TV deal is being kind of generous right now, because the interest in pro wrestling in general seems to be waning considerably in the last couple of years. So finding a TV deal in America is going to be problematic, especially when they've only done a handful of shows. They could try streaming online, doing some kind of live YouTube broadcast or something. I don't know if that would be financially doable. I'm not sure what the benefits would be, but they could try it. Van Chaps, Brooke is still technically contracted with the company. They might be doing a swerve like with Velvet Sky. Ugh. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a work to me. It doesn't seem like something this creative regime would do or bother with. And they've been so light on the storylines in general. And now you're talking about, are they doing a kayfabe, doing a work shoot angle or something? I don't think that's their mindset. I think she's really leaving, which is unfortunate. Steve Trowbridge, thoughts on ADR? Personally, I think he's a pretty good wrestler, but I think he's just very boring, and I could care less about his current run right now. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't dislike him. I mean, he's never really grabbed me that much. And this whole thing with with the Mex America thing with Zed Coulter, I don't get it. If you think about it, it's kind of a babyface gimmick. You're wanting the two countries to unite and come together as one. It seems like a pretty positive message. And yet I think we're supposed to be booing him for it. I'm not sure why. Who's your favorite WWE guy who is not hurt? Who's not hurt? I don't know. Maybe Brock Lesnar. Oni Rokoku. I heard Terran is a born-again Christian, so that could be the reason. Is there something in the Christian religion that frowns upon professional wrestling? Because that seems kind of unfair. Ace Shock, thoughts on SoCal Val? I think she's very attractive. I like her as like a personality. That said, I don't think she was like essential to anything. I mean, TNA parted ways with her and nothing really changed. I always thought she was cute, though. Jaron Spearman, good review. Thank you. I'm trying. My cough's coming back, though. The Save Me One, Holly Holm should not have beaten Ronda Rousey unless Ronda completely underestimated her, and that's what happened. A real-life version of Rocky 3 here. Okay? The LB one of a kind. I heard Brooke is still legally signed to TNA. Oh, possibly. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. I mean, she could just be waiting out her contract. And it's probably an easy thing to do when you're only taping TV once every couple of months. D1, do you think you would do a Rise and Fall and rise of the X Division like he did for the Knockouts? I doubt it at this point. Mostly because, well, I don't, for a couple of reasons. One, I don't really have anything to say about that right now that hasn't been said already. Two, I don't think there's going to be, it just doesn't seem like there's going to be a rise. Again, there was a rise and a fall, and still waiting for that rise, and right now, I'm becoming more and more skeptical that it will ever happen. Steve Trowbridge, if TNA would sign new knockouts, I'd personally pick Kaylee Ray, Crazy Mary Dobson, Courtney Rush, Melanie Cruz, plus Veda Scott, so she would be able to talk for Cruz and wrestle. Yes to Kaylee Ray, yes to Veda Scott. I don't know much about Crazy Mary Dobson. I've always been a fan of Courtney Rush. So she would be cool. Melanie Cruz I would pass on just because I don't think much of her mic skills. I would want someone who would, who'd be able to talk better. I would put in someone like Shauna or Nikki Storm if those rumors of Nikki signing with WWE are not true. And if she's free, for Christ's sake, snatch her up. LB One of a Kind. I think Sue Young will be signed, and maybe Mary Kate, as both appeared earlier in this year in Knockouts Knockdown. I think it's a good indicator that they're on TNA's radar. I like Sue Young. Don't know anything about Mary Kate. I think if anyone was signed out of that group, it would probably be Cherry Bomb, because she was the one that seemed to be featured the most at those one-night-only shows. Of course, she's injured right now, so that may be a factor. D1, one guy besides EC3 that would do good as champion. I don't know, for lack of any better options, I'd say Drew Galloway. It's probably too soon for him, though. LB One of a Kind, what if they signed Leva Bates, being that she's friends with Jade? That might actually get a little bit of a buzz going, because she developed such a huge cult following as Blue Pants in NXT. I think if TNA wanted to make some waves, bring in Blue Pants. I mean, she's a free agent now. They're not using her anymore. I mean, she was never actually signed, but she got over huge in NXT. So you need a new knockout? Bring in Blue Pants. So you should get a pop immediately. That would be cool. I don't think Storm is... Steve Trowbridge, I don't think Storm is technically signed with WWE yet. As far as I know, he's not. Now, he's just appearing on NXT as a free agent. Steve Trowbridge, if you had to rank the divas in terms of wrestling ability from best to worst, how would you do it? Main roster divas anyway? Oh, God, I don't know. There's so many different divas. In terms of wrestling ability, I think you probably have to put Natty at the top. Or maybe Paige and Charlotte up there, too. And Becky Lynch that would be pretty high on there as well. I don't know, there's a pretty big gap between the girls that can wrestle and the ones that can't. But yeah, those divas would be at the top anyway. D1, what do you think is needed for wrestling to hit another big boom period? A complete change in the philosophy of how they present wrestling, how they write for wrestling, how they book wrestling. For starters, it's going to take somebody with new and fresh ideas to come up with a way to present wrestling that's never been done before, and new ways of making stars that have never been done before, and I just don't see that happening. Steve Trowbridge, I think Charlotte's acting is better than the Bella Twins. Maybe I'm biased because I hate the Bella Twins, but still. I think they're probably in the same range acting-wise. Difference is the Bella Twins have been doing this a lot longer. So Charlotte probably still has room to improve. Whereas Brie and Nikki are as good as they're going to get. Oh, Eva Marie seriously has a title match. Oh, well, that's just great. Steve Trowbridge, thoughts on Emma's new heel persona? I personally like it more than the dancing gimmick he has. Well, I haven't seen Emma's new heel persona. I've seen her cooking show on YouTube. That's cute. I don't know what she's doing as a heel in NXT these days, though. Yeah, the dancing thing was always going to have a limited shelf life, so it's probably a good idea that she stopped doing that before it got old. One of LB, one of a kind. Next weekend, the first round. Then it's the semifinals in India. Then the finals and the new champion crowned going into their new network. Okay. Steve Trowbridge, if Eva wins the NXT Women's title, that title will lose all credibility that it had for the first 2.5 years. Agreed. Van Chaps, given the circumstance TNA is in right now, this outright tournament extension was probably the best idea in a bad situation. Yeah, maybe. As I understand it, they took a bunch of one-night-only tapings and turned them into television tapings. So they were trying to make a tough situation work for them. And I guess they produced enough to put on a show. It's just not a very interesting show. HB E Hain 4441. If you had to pick a world heavyweight champion, who would you pick? What, out of anyone? I don't know. For any company? I don't know. Put it back on EC3, I guess. For WWE, who knows? What are their options, really? I mean, who has been built up? They've got Reigns. I don't know if Reigns is entirely ready. You could argue that Ambrose hasn't been positioned well for a spot like that. It's pretty slim pickings. TNA is announcing something on the TV network in a few minutes. Well, they were going to, I assume. They were going to have some type of huge announcement at 11:59 p.m., but we're well past that now, and nothing's happened yet. Steve Trowbridge, where is that announcement going to be at? Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. They blacked out all the graphics on their social media accounts and then put up a graphic saying 11:59:06, which I assume was going to be 11:59 p.m. in 6 seconds, and it's 12:19 at this moment, and nothing's happened yet. If TNA choose Pop TV, I am done with them. I don't even know what Pop TV is. HBE Hain, it's frustrating that Crimson was jobbed out in the whole Future 4 series. He has a lot more appeal than Jesse Goddard's. I don't understand what they see in Jesse Goddard's. I really don't. I'm still waiting to be super impressed by him. He just seems very limited in what he does. I don't think he's uncharismatic. I don't think he's a bad talker, but I don't get what the appeal is yet. Steve Trowbridge, what would you say was the overall better wrestler, Edge or Christian? I don't know, probably Edge. D1, best match in wrestling you've ever seen? Oh, hell, I don't know. I'll tell you what my favorite match was. Arguably, it was the Ultimate X with AJ, Sabin, and Petey Williams. Best match I've ever seen. I don't know. That's my favorite match. God, I'm gonna have to cut this short in a few minutes because I'm losing my voice here. Do you think that Shera has improved a lot since the tournament started? Since the tournament started? Well, he's only had a couple of matches in the tournament. And how much can you really improve in that short amount of time? I would say he's probably improved since he joined the company. But in the last month or two, it's too short amount of time to improve much. Ace Shock, what's your take on Lana's comments about Twitter accusing Paige of bullying her? I don't know. It's really blurring the lines between face and shoot here with the whole, with regards to the whole Reed Flair comment. I don't really care. I mean, if she bullied Lana in real life, I don't believe that. Doesn't seem like something she'd do. So it's probably kayfabe. Let's do Trowbridge thoughts on Natalya and Sasha Banks feud that seems to be building up. And it should probably lead to some good matches if they go for it. I don't think they'll give it a ton of focus. It'll probably be something that gets burned off on SmackDown and or Superstars or whatever. Main event, rather. Vince doesn't seem to want to put a ton of focus on Sasha Banks. And for whatever reason, he's just not that high on her as some of the other new girls. Which is odd. LB, one of a kind. Eva must be giving BJs backstage to keep her job just like Sarah Lee and Alexa Bliss are doing backstage. And stay classy, LB. Deontay 320, with Brooke gone, TNA's going to need new knockouts fast. With the current setup, it's pretty much Gale, the Beautiful People, Dollhouse, Terran is questionable, and Kong. Yeah, they need new talent. They do. It's not like the Beautiful People are all that interesting. They're not. I mean, they need to go too, all three of them. So they need another infusion of new talent. They need it relatively quickly. Steve Trowbridge, Alexa Bliss is actually some talent. Sarah Lee is better at a better match. Had a better in her match on Tough Enough than any match Eva has had so far. I don't doubt that, but I didn't watch Tough Enough. HBE Hain, thoughts on Micah? Do you think he's improved? I haven't really seen much of him since the Rising broke up. I mean, they haven't focused on him much at all. Thought he was an okay wrestler. I didn't think much of him charisma-wise. I've seen nothing from him to indicate that that's changed. MyMag77, who's your favorite women's wrestler? Kaylee Ray. Nikki Storm is a close second. Giovanna Witness 0330. Your channel is a great place for people with severe retardation to congregate. Thanks for keeping them entertainment. Hashtag retards matter. Why did you even show up? Okay, and looks like we're getting some spam in here now. Okay. Try to start thinking about wrapping this up in a minute. My Mag 77, did you watch Lucha Underground? No. I've seen little bits and pieces of it. I like that they're trying to do something different, but it's not really for me. Alright, I gotta start picking and choosing the comments here, guys, because I gotta get to the end of this, because I need to get to bed. I'm sorry if I'm not getting to all your comments, but just don't have a lot of time here. MyMag77, why do you still believe in TNA? Because I review the show for a website. I think still believing in the company is a harder question to answer, but that's why I still review it. I said a long time ago that the reason why I was supporting the company was because they were the only company in a position to give WWE the kick in the ass they needed. And also, I have an affection for underdogs. And problem is, they've done a lot to kind of erode my belief in the company since then. It's still good sometimes, but it's, I don't know, sometimes they make it hard to root for them. Jeff Atwood, if WCW hadn't died, how would the Cruiserweight tag titles have been? I think they would have been forgotten about pretty quickly after a while and then just discontinued. It's obvious that was a choice that they hadn't thought about that much. They just did it on a whim. The titles really didn't mean anything. I mean, why would cruiserweights want the cruiserweight tag titles when many of them had been in contention for the tag titles and actually won the heavyweight tag titles? Like Kidman and Mysterio. Why the hell did they even care about the cruiserweight tag titles? They had been the WCW heavyweight tag team champions before. Made no sense to me. MyMag77, you prefer TNA than Lucha Underground or NXT? I didn't say that. I don't watch Lucha Underground, and I watch very little of NXT. I've given my reasons for that many times. Damn it. Sorry. Yeah, TNA's announcement will be at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Okay. Not sure what the 11:59:06 thing was about. And their announcement will be in the morning. Looks like a deal has been finalized. Alright, so the 11:59:06 thing was just bullshit then? Steve Trowbridge, do you think he'll ever do movie reviews like he used to? Potentially. I don't see as many movies as I used to. So maybe if I see one that I have a burning desire to talk about, but I have to see it, within the first couple days of release. Okay. Deontay 320, wasn't HBK a Christian? I also remember AJ Styles a full-on Christian, yet he's wrestling as we speak. Yeah, I don't know why that would prevent Taryn from wrestling. Strange. I don't know what the situation is there. Steve Trowbridge, never been that impressed with Sue Young. Okay. Yeah. Whatever, that's your opinion. That's fine. I kind of like her. Just from what little I've seen. Do you prefer Charlotte or Sasha? I have issues with both of them. I think Charlotte's a good wrestler. I don't think she inherited her dad's charisma. I think Sasha is talented, but I don't know, the boss gimmick has always kind of turned me off. It just feels kind of phony to me. I don't believe it. It's like when I see her coming out and she's got the boss brass knuckle thing, and the sunglasses and the robe and everything. It doesn't feel real. I just look at her. I think this person is putting on an act. It just looks dumb to me. I guess I'm in the minority on that one, but that's how I feel. Damn it. I think if Vince isn't high on Sasha because Sasha actually has been over with the crowds and he can't have talent actually getting organic reactions. That would actually make sense, unfortunately. It's kind of why Cesaro got de-pushed for a long time. Because he had the balls to get over without the WWE's permission. Can't do the Cesaro swing because people like it, so don't do it. Guess he's past that now, but that was weird for a while. Okay. There's a countdown clock on the website. Alright, I'll check that out. Ace Shock, what about Thea Trinidad coming back to TNA? I don't know. I'm kind of ambivalent about it. I didn't think she was terrible in her last run as Rosita, but I didn't see anything really super special about her. Of course, they didn't really try to do much with her. I figured it probably happened too soon and she was really green at that time. I don't think she's a bad talent, and I have no real burning desire to see her again, though. I don't think she's back permanently. It seems like that's just something they're doing to make Austin Aries happy. Could be wrong, though. Ace Shock, Reigns needs to turn heel for many reasons. Alright, this is going to have to be the last question, you guys, because I got to get to bed, really. Alright, one more after that. I don't know if turning Reigns heel is the answer. I mean, they do need somebody to step into Rollins' shoes. But, I mean, if they're serious about making Reigns the heir apparent to John Cena, then they're not turning him heel. That's for sure. I would expect him to remain a babyface for quite some time. I'll be one of a kind. Last question here, I'm sorry. What if Havoc returned? I thought she was doing well in her brief run with the company. I don't know why they got rid of her. It's like once Kong showed up, they immediately lost interest in Havoc, which I thought was dumb. Because she probably has a longer shelf life than Havoc at this than Kong at this point. Um, but also, I was it was my opinion that they didn't really need both of them because having two giant monster knockouts makes them both less unique, and that's a lot of their appeal is their uniqueness. So if you have one, I don't see why you need the other. That was just my opinion. So as long as Kong's there, well, I don't see why you need Havoc. Unfortunately, I mean, if Kong decided to leave, then sure, bring back Havoc. But I don't think you need both. All right, guys, that's gonna have to be it. I'm sorry. Uh, Again, losing my voice, and I got stuff to do before I go to sleep. So, thanks for joining me tonight. Tune in for the Comic Show post show tomorrow night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern on my channel, where we're talking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, and Flash. Please join me then. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out. Sorry. Night.